Hey everyone, and welcome to 49 Sports Games. I'm Grant, and this stream is being recorded on January 6th, 2026. Wow. First week of the year. I hope it's good for everybody, that you made it through the holiday season unscathed. I think Marsha and I did here. Stayed healthy and really looking forward to this upcoming year. For this video, we are going to talk mainly about 49 football, reasons why I decided to pull it for right now and what to expect. But before we get to that, just a couple things, the housekeeping, and then a couple of questions that have come in over the last week that I just want to answer while we're waiting for everybody to jump on here. So the housekeeping is something I got called out on this week, and justifiably so. I mainly use Facebook to do my communication with, and the Facebook page is usually up to date. The file section of Facebook is more up to date than the website. And I think that's wrong because not everybody is on Facebook. And so I will, and I never make New Year's resolutions, but I resolve, even though it's beginning, on the 6th of January, to make sure I put the website first and also do Facebook. So whenever I update Facebook, I need to right then go to the website and do the update on the website. It's not always been easy for me with the Shopify website to get that kind of stuff done, but I think I've got that figured out now. So I promise I will do a better job there. So the website will always have the more up-to-date files. And I see if I can maybe streamline a little bit to make the navigation of it a little bit easier too. And then there's the whole communication thing. So Facebook is just so easy to just jump on and do a post and tell you what I'm thinking or what might be happening, and boom, it's out there. All right. So that's easy, easy button. But what I think I also need to do, and I'm going to take a page from Keith that plays his playbook, and that is do a blog. And so, because I don't want to inundate everybody with long emails every month, I try to do them about every 4, 6, 8 weeks, depending on the time of the year. But there can be a lot of information on it. And so I'm thinking that a better thing to do is turn that long email into a blog, post it on the website, on the 49sportsgames.com website. And that way you can read through it at your leisure and stay up to date on some of the different things that are going on, and without having to have a long email. And I can, maybe get in the habit of shooting an email out once a month just to say, hey, here's a link to the blog. Here's the highlights of what happened in the last month in case you don't want to read the whole thing. So that's what I'm thinking right now. If you think there's something I'm missing, definitely love to hear about it. And Yeah, so that's about it for the housekeeping. Now, on to a couple of questions. And the first question, and this is actually from Mike from last week's stream, and it was a comment on YouTube. And he asked, like, how would you do some kind of project when you only have an opportunity to play a couple times a week, right? And man, that's a tough answer. There's a lot of good options out there. I can tell you what I've done, which would kind of fit that mold. And he likes to play both quick decks hockey and highlights hockey. And I did a replay of the 1974-75 Vancouver Canucks, and I did it on what was their 50th anniversary. I didn't realize it was when I started. It was 50 years later, and also that the day of the week matched up with the date on the calendar. So when I was playing a game on November 16th, if it was a Tuesday in 2024, it was a Tuesday in 1974. So that was kind of fun. And so I was able to keep up with that throughout the whole year. I got a tiny bit behind, maybe once or twice, and was able to catch up. And I think that's one of the fun things about having the highlight hockey. And if you're not tied to wanting to keep like really detailed stats, face-off wins and losses, or time on ice, or shots on goal, then that's where the highlight game comes in. Because if you do, because life gets busy, right? I mean, you've got other projects you want to do. Highlight hockey, you can jump in and catch up pretty quick with highlight hockey, and then get back to playing the quick decks if you prefer, or a mixture of both. And that is another way I really enjoy playing hockey, is to go through and play the first two periods of highlight hockey. If the game's close, then I switch it to quick decks. And it's kind of a fun way to do. Okay, so that was one question, and the other question was uh, more generic on what other games do you play, sports and other. And from a sports game perspective, I don't play anything else. I really don't have time. I'm enjoying playing my own games and also like coming up with version 2 of hockey and a rebranding of football and highlight soccer and highlight football and some of these other things. So when I get extra time, that's what I enjoy doing. One exception to that, and that is uh, with History Maker Baseball. And so it's about 4 or 5 years ago, started a co-op from the Baseball America set that Keith comes up with every year. And it's a 12-team league, and I think we played 54 games last year. And there's 12 of us. Each has one of the teams in the Baseball America Co-op League or Baseball America set. And yeah, we just play our home games, and we've had one turnover in the last couple of years. And it was only because the person was just too busy. Had a young family and had a job and really didn't want to step aside, but it turned out to be the best because it just was too hard for him to keep up. And so that is the one sports game that I do play uh, outside of my own games right now. Would I like to play more? Sure. And maybe someday I can get some help doing what I'm doing here, and then I'll have time to play some, payoff pitch or season ticket, some of these other games, which I think are actually really quite good. So from a sports board game, it's just the History Maker Baseball. And other games, I used to like to play, and I go every Wednesday morning. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to go and there's a group of, tomorrow will be 5 of us, and we're going to play a game. And I don't know what the game will be. It'll be like a Euro type of game. Um, I don't even know what it might be. Would be examples of games we play there are a lot of area control, kind of some area control war games we play. Wingspan will pull that out every once in a while. A game called Obsession will pull it out once in a while. And then I'm fortunate too because Marcia really enjoys playing board games too. So that's kind of our time together as well. So we play Parks is a game we play. She loves to play Obsession too. Everdell is another one that we have to play. So those are the other games I play, but it doesn't happen nearly as much right now as I would like it to. Okay, so that's kind of the preamble as we get ready to talk about football and 49 football. And the reason that I pulled 49 football was I just felt like it needed a refresh. It was time. Now, this is not going to be a version 2, not like hockey. Hockey was it was a true version 2 because a lot of the cards were kind of changed and added 30% more cards to it. Whereas with football, with the core engine, with the these result cards and the game action cards, I mean, it was 2017 when I first started selling game just called 49 football, and that same engine is still what I use today and what you're playing in either it's quick deck football or if it's on the turf football. And so it's not really about an update to make the game more statistically accurate or better that way. It's really about refreshing and with a couple goals in mind. And probably the biggest goal is I want to make the game so it's easier to get back into if you haven't played it for a while. Because you've got other games, other projects you're doing, and say, hey, I want to get back to some football. I want to play some 49 football. You know, I got to dig out the rule book, and I might not remember everything because when I look at the rule book as it's written right now, I mean it's kind of from my last job, well, from a decade ago, where we had to do this thing called space qualification, and so we dealt with NASA and so this rule book really kind of was more along those lines. It's very detailed, and it's just too much, right? And so from a rules perspective, the rules are all there, but they're hard to find and maybe a little bit hard to understand. From a reference cards too, I think the reference cards that I came up with, if I had to grade them, I'd probably give myself a D minus. They were not that useful, and I think they could be really good and really helpful, especially getting back into the game. And the other thing is the solitaire charts. I just want to totally rework the solitaire charts. I think they work fine. Um, here's the solitaire charts. I do think they work actually really well, but I want to make it for part of the other reason why I'm pulling the game, and that is from basically to streamline my production. And so I need to find a paper, and I've already got it, that, whoops, I can print these off and they'll come as a sheet and then you'll separate them. So they're just going to be perforated. So they're all going to be the same size. So they might not be perfect. And I think when I look back to like when I developed the cards, the original cards were a business size card, even smaller, but they had the exact same data on it. And so when I did quick decks and on the turf from 49 football, I went to this size card, which is an actual playing size card. So this is 2.5 by 3.5. And what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go to a 3 by 4 card. So it's going to be most of the same data. I'm actually going to take some of the data off the cards, and you'll see how that's going to work in just a minute, and go to 3 by 4. So it's going to be bigger, easier to see. It's going to take up more space on the table. And I think when I first developed 49 football, it was, to me, it was all about minimizing space. Don't make it too big of a footprint. And so it just made it limiting to what I could put on each of the cards. And so I think by going to the 3 by 4, it'll be bigger fonts, so it'll be easier to see for our aging eyes, right? And I can get more information on it. So that's really the two reasons why I wanted to pull 49 football. And I guess the reason, and somebody asked me, it's like, why just keep selling it? And then if it's not a version 2 update, then people, can have a choice. It just didn't feel right to me to keep selling it for 3 or 4 months, however long it's going to take for me to actually put this game back on the market, and then turn around and say, oh, thanks for buying it last week, but I've got a newer version today. It just didn't feel right. So I wanted there to be some kind of time kind of between when this comes out and when I last started selling. So that was my reason for it, to do this little break. It also gives me a little break to catch up on hockey and try and get some seasons done and whatnot. And I am going to do, I have got some seasons going on. And so I'll do a season release towards the end of January. I don't have a specific date yet. It depends how everything else goes, but that's my plan, is towards the end of January, we'll do a season release because we'll have a new hockey and a new football season. And speaking of new seasons, we've got, for those of you who have got the um, in-season set for football, the playoffs, yes, the playoffs, and this year should be real fun. Start next weekend. I've got the NFC teams completed. I just went through them a second time today, so I think they're just about ready to send out. Started on the AFC teams. If all goes well tomorrow, I should have those sent out tomorrow night. I will, as soon as I'm happy with the NFC, I'll get those sent. So anybody that wants to start playing, because there's a lot of games to play, I'll get those sent out. And then hopefully tomorrow we'll have the AFC teams out. And that comes just in time to start with the in-season hockey set, because I chose 45 games as the kind of demarcation line for when I'm going to start creating set number 2 for this in-season set for hockey. And Detroit and New York, I think it is, they play their 45th game on Thursday. So and kind of there's a method to my madness. I kind of knew that we had the playoffs coming up, so I knew I wasn't going to have time to do both at the exact same time. So that's going to come in on Thursday, uh, or get started on Thursday. But I haven't, and go back to my AI talk last week. I've tried Grok and ChatGPT just before going on the air here. So I was looking for a quick answer to when is the last team going to play their 45th game? And neither of them could figure it out. Not surprised, but I mean, someday they'll figure it out. But anyway, so I don't know when that's going to be, but it won't be long because, man, these teams they're just playing every other day. There's a lot of games going on, which is kind of fun, to be a hockey fan because there's a lot of hockey going on. All right. So one more question here, and yeah, I appreciate the order. As saw a little email notice come through, get the V2 upgrade. That's been very popular, and it really is the whole game. The only thing you're not getting that's new is the game action cards. That's the only set. I don't have them right here, but anyway. Uh, so I did have one more question. And this is going to segue into, I'll just show you a couple of the different components that I got. And the question was, how is defense involved in the quick decks part of the football game? And really, as I'm looking to do the new football, and I'm pretty sure I'm just going to call it 49 football, 49 football. So the original was 49 football, but it was spelled out FORTY-NINE. So this one I think is just going to be 49 football, and it's going to incorporate everything. And instead of there being 4 decks, like 2 that were going to be for quick decks and 2 for on the turf, there's going to be 1 set. So it'll be the game action cards and the result cards. So that's again back to this. Got to streamline production. I got to make it easier for myself because I'm doing all the production at the moment. Someday I'll find somebody to do all the cards for me, and then that'll make it easier. But so I was thinking of a progression through what ways you can play 49 football. And let's just change this view here because I've got 49 football set up. And this is set up for me to play a quick decks game. And you can see I'm playing Seattle and Washington. And so that's game number 7 or 8. I can't remember what it is. It'll be their 8th game because they're 6-1 in my replay. They were 5-2 in real life. And I'm playing through using the down and distance marker and using these little charts here just to simplify being able to look things up. And so when I got asked the question, back to the question on like how is D involved in it, the defense is really involved in the couple of ways. So there is the cards. There are things on the cards that are going to ask for a reference to the defense. And so you're going to see how that's going to work with the new cards here in just a minute. But that's one way that the defense impacts what's going on. There's also, if you use these charts here, which is new, and these are available on the website, probably Facebook too, but definitely they're on the website. The latest ones are on the website. And these give you modifiers for your run and for your pass, and so both teams. And there's instructions on the sheet that comes with these here. They're part of that same download. And so defense gets involved there. They get pressure, and pressure is a big part of the game. So this is all quick deck still. So pressure and then interceptions and the pass deflections, another real biggie. So that's basically how defense gets involved. And then you progress up to using a down and distance marker. There's the original one that comes with the game, which is only has a few yards to goes basically on it. And I've expanded it out to be quite a few yards to go where instances where defense is really going to have more of an effect on the game. And so that's why this down and distance marker is spread out so much. And it's just another way the defense includes in the game. And then, of course, you go to on the turf. On the turf has defensive play callings with every play. And then you also have the special plays that go with it as well. And so, playing zone defense or double covering receivers, what kind of blitzing you're going to do. So, that's the step up to on the turf. So all those things I've just talked about are all going to be part of 49 football. And hopefully with a nice, more streamlined, easy to follow rule book. The original rule book was written as I'm thinking, okay, I got to teach people quick decks and on the turf all at the same time. And now I realize that most people are playing quick decks, and then there's still a lot of people playing on the turf, but I should have really done a rule book that was just straight quick decks and one that was straight on the turf. Now I think I've got a pretty good plan on how to move it forward. All right. Oh yeah, 49 football. I lived in Canada, and so the 49th parallel separates Canada and the United States. And so when I was trying to come up with a name, I had no idea. I didn't, first of all, really think I was going to put the game up for sale. This was back in 2017. And that was just a name that kind of popped up. Well, you got the 49th parallel. If I come up with a hockey game or soccer or anything else after, I could use the 4-9, and it's a good branding thing. So yeah, that really was the why it separates Canada and the U.S. I'm got both citizenship, so it just kind of fit. Okay, so now let's pull up this camera shot here, and if you look over on the left-hand side, you'll see what the new game action card is going to be. So one of the things that I've done, come back to that in just a second. I want to go to this here, is we'll go back to this card here, and you can see there is a lot of stuff on it. There's the quarterback sneaks on it, the punt roll stuff is on it, and let me pull up a card that's got some extra things happening on it. So there's some that have this here where there's a +2 or there's a +4 that go with it. That's going to stay on the results card. But there's a lot of ones that have symbols, like this one here in the run. You can see over here in the run, you got a symbol. That now is all going to move to the game action card. So any of the ones, there's some double arrows. This one here where you've got D, you're going to roll for the D. That is all now going to move onto the game action card. So if we move to this view here, you'll see on this particular card as it gets turned over, let's actually go to this here, make it bigger. You'll see there's a potential penalty on the play. I don't put my finger in there. And so it just gives me a chance to make this card bigger. This is a 3x4 card, just turn vertically. So if it's a running play, you can see what would happen. Well, defense looks in good position to make a play. Well, going back to this little card here, there's no room to put anything like that. And even the game action card, as they came like this, there was no room to put any wording to maybe give it a little bit more flavor. So and it says in a good position, not a perfect position, because there's no such thing in football. And so you can see this particular play, the running number would be a -10. If it's an off tackle or a stretch run, or if it's an inside and outside run, the running number is a -20. Of course, the result still could be that the running back makes a great play, or somebody threw a good block and he makes a good gain. But most of the time, this is going to actually help limit the run based on the fact that the defense was looking pretty good. Okay, if it's a pass play, you can see on this particular play, there's potential for pressure, and it's on all lengths of pass. And then if the pass is complete, the defender makes a nice tackle, there's -5 yards to the final result. So I guess the way, if the pass is complete, you could look at it and say, well, I guess the quarterback had to throw the ball a bit early, so the receiver didn't get as far down. And so it just allows for that kind of flavor to be on the card. And down below, this is where I've moved all of the different spots on a kick return. If there's a fumble or if there's a penalty, you got the quarterback stuff. Now this quarterback stuff, I'm actually going to move to the other card. So this is just going to be punting, and the returns will just be on this here. So it'll free up a little bit of room. So let me show you a couple more cards of how they're going to work with the game action cards. And so there's one where there's no penalty on it, so it just frees up a little more space on the card. On this particular one, the O-lineman gives a great block, and so it's +15 and a +30 if it's an in or outside run. And again, same with passing play, made a good block. Now, remember on the older cards, there was a little icon there that you have to remember what it was, or look at one of my crappy reference cards to remember what it was. Now it's all going to be just right there. The flavor's right there. So it should make it easier, I'm hoping, to pick things up. Okay, here's another one. And so this means there could be a possible review. So if it's you're going to roll the D20, if a team decides to challenge, of course, and if it's a 1-9, the play is upheld. If it's 11-20, it's overturned, and in the favor of whoever's probably going to be calling the challenge. Give me a chance to do a little iconography, getting a little referee guy there. What I do? And then again, the run and pass. So now these ones are a little different. So all this is a work in progress. I've just started working on these. Not how it's probably going to look. Anybody's got some suggestions on what I could do? Definitely happy to listen in. One more card to look at here, and this is a false start. Right now, we have to go to the penalty chart, and the penalty chart could say for a false start, but you may have already run through the whole play. If you're like me, I usually do the play and then see what the penalty is. And you get, it was a false start. I didn't need to waste my time going through the play. Well, this here card now is the false start card. And there's probably going to be a couple of them. And you're going to roll on the team chart. Remember, on the team chart, here we go to the overhead camera. If you look here, it gives a false start number. So Seattle's is 1-7. Washington, Jaden Daniels is a 1-15. So you would end up rolling on that for the false start. And again, here's a little different look at how to separate the two, and I'm just trying to figure out the best way for it to look. So in a pass play, potential pressure, if it's an intermediate or more, that's the first thing you're going to check on. Second thing, then, if it gets past pressure, then you're going to see if there's an interception. And if the defense does get pressure, it's going to be +2 to the interception range. So those are kind of some of the changes I'm looking at making for the game action card. And I'm looking forward to playing with it when I finally get through, um, getting them all done. And there's probably going to, I think there's still going to be 60 cards. So there's 60 cards in every deck, other than the on the turf. Uh, I think it was the game action card has 70, but I think it's going to be 60 of each is what they'll be, because the original game was done really on base 60, and that's why there's 60 cards. All right, so that's the game action cards and what they're going to move to. Now the penalty cards are, so remember on these here, slip this in here. So this is the original one. You can see that you would look down at what the penalty is here. You turn over another card, and it's all on that same game action card. So there's so much information on there. This is going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be its own separate deck of cards, and they'll probably do it on the business sides cards. And there'll be, I think I can do it with 20 cards, because, like the false start penalties are going to be part of the game action card. So that's what I'm thinking for that. So then what will the results card look like? So let's see here. Here's a results card, which is quite all going to quite fit on there. But as you can see, it's cleaner. There's no real extra stuff to distract or wondering, okay, what was that little thing that's got a dot on it for? I can't remember. Do I roll on defense? Do I roll on the offense? I have to do that. That's all taken care of. So you're going to come up with a number. You're going to take that number and you're going to apply it. If it's passing play, it's going to be up here. If it's a running play, it's down below. The number was a 36 on the run. He got a 6-yard gain. So it just kind of goes like that. So the other thing that the A plus B, I'll definitely make that easier to understand. I was thinking that, hey, this is my great opportunity. I don't need to use that anymore, except it's on every single team card that I've created, and I've got a lot of seasons are done. I'm trying to get more NFL seasons, but there's an awful lot of cards that I have to go through and figure out how to update, and I just don't have the time to do it. So kind of stuck with A, which means that his longest run was, I can't remember if it's like 14 or 15 yards. A plus, it means he was maybe 20 yards. I can't remember the exact number. And then B was over and above that. So that's why each go back to this overhead camera for those of you who haven't seen it. Each player is rated for, well, here's the running plays up here. For like Kenneth Walker, he was a B. Carbonet, he was a B. Holani was an A. And so if a player's rated A, they can only ever get an A rated run. Okay, so that's the results cards. There's one more. This one shows, again, it's just a start, just to see how it's going to look. I got the passing in blue, running is in green. And so these will evolve over time into being hopefully something better. I'm not sure what better means or how that's going to turn out, but I will definitely keep you posted on how my progress goes. And so the fun thing about doing this weekly update is in a couple of weeks time, I'll definitely do it again. I'll show you kind of some more of what the game action cards are, or maybe I don't know what I'm going to work on in the next couple of weeks, but it's probably most likely going to be just that. It's going to be get the game action cards and result action cards to a point where I can start playing games, because then I got to make sure I don't break the game, right? Got to play a bunch of games to make sure I don't break it. All right. Let's see. Let's see what's next here. I think that's just about all I have for today. Making sure I haven't missed anything, because I'm not great at being able to read and talk at the same time. If somebody's asked a question, you guys have probably noticed that. Okay. Oh, so we talked about 49 football. If anybody thinks there's a better name for it, like I'm all ears at this point in time. Happy to listen to it. And speaking of names, I think what next week's show is going to be is I'm going to show you my 49 drive-by-drive game, because it's a long ways along. I've played a lot of games on it. I'm pretty happy with how it works. And And so I think next week would be a good time for me to show it off. I'll show you all the kind of the mechanisms, how it works. We'll play through a few series of downs. It takes me anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how things go. And you can see how you can collect data on it, get actual specific yards if you want. And the purpose of why I came up with that game was to integrate it with 49 football in the same way that you can play like the first two periods of highlight hockey and then jump to the third period of quick decks hockey. Well, it was kind of the same thing. If you wanted to play, first half or three quarters with the drive by drive, get to the fourth quarter, and then switch to one of the other games. That's the reason why I came up with it. But that also doesn't mean that the highlights doesn't have its place too. So it's quite possible we could have the highlight soccer, which I think is going to be a great opportunity to get into the soccer realm. So at some point in time, I have no idea when that's going to be. But then I think 49 highlight football will be good as well. So the question is, I want to show everybody the drive by drive and get some comments on it because it integrates. You get yardage, you get actual timing, where highlights is going to be just that. It's going to be scoring. So it's more for trying to get through a game even quicker, and you just get the highlights of a game. And so anyway, that's what I'm thinking. And then the other thing with 49 drive by drive football is just a working name right now. I have no idea what to call it. I mean, it is what it is. It is a drive by drive game. Does that confuse it with some of the other games that are out there? I guess that's what I'm worried about. Uh, so anyway, if you got some ideas on what the name should be, and I think having the 4-9 in front of it is a differentiator, knowing that it's come from me and not from somebody else, like Fast Drive Football from Al Wilson. It's a pretty close name. I don't want to feel like I'm kind of jumping in on his name, even though like I started the drive by drive game back in 2018, I think is when I did the first part of it. So anyway, just always open for any input like that. And I think with that, that's about all we have for today, unless anybody's got any other questions. Again, I appreciate everybody dropping by today and looking at the football and seeing what these cards are going to look like. And if you got any ideas on how these should look, definitely happy to receive all feedback on these things because I'm really doing this game for you guys too, right? For me, because I like to play it, but for now that I've decided to sell, I do it for you as well. So I really do appreciate the feedback. All right. Anything else? 49 is the brand. Yep. Um, Soccer testers. Okay. I will let you know about that. That's coming. 1982 CFL. Yeah. BC Lions weren't that good that year. I don't know why I did 82. No, I'm kidding. All right. So I hope everybody's had a great start to the year. Looking forward to what 2026 has to offer. And with that, thanks for watching 49 Sports Games, and we will see you next time.